going back to AEW, and I know I don't talk about it a lot on this podcast or on the channel, um, but every now and then I do like to address it because I keep up with the product. I enjoy AEW. The drama surrounding All Elite Wrestling, they say any publicity is good publicity, but sometimes with them, man, it's all about timing. And right on time, just as we're approaching another flagship pay per view, of course, I'm talking about All In London, um, stuff comes up. And whether it is the Shane McMahon picture, circulating in the last week with Tony Khan, um, and that being leaked, a lot of people are saying that that was, a Tony Khan thing because how would that image get leaked, right? And the look on Tony's face as if he's being surprised. I'm of the camp where I'm like, yeah, someone within their group had taken that picture and leaked it. Because what are you telling me that Wrestle Talk or PWI or whoever gets into that office, gets into that little conference room, snaps a picture, and Tony Khan's freaking out, like, oh, he took a picture of me. That's like, it might have been an inside job. You know, I don't know in what capacity Shane McMahon might take part. Maybe he won't. Maybe it was just a genuine meeting between two businessmen who are involved in the wrestling business. Maybe, but I've always believed where there is smoke, there is fire. And I don't think there's that many coincidences, especially given the history of All Elite Wrestling. You also look at what's going on with the Britt Baker and MJF story. Again, we as wrestling fans cannot assume too much because we're not there. We go off of the reports, we go off on what's on said on the internet, so we can't take it as concrete. But apparently, if you haven't heard, there was some things being said by Britt Baker about MJF moments before his matchup against Will Ospreay, the 58 or 59 minutes and 58-second matchup on Dynamite. And apparently word got back to MJF. He barges in the women's locker room, yelling about something, punches a wall, punches a hole in the wall, and Britt Baker got suspended. Again, very messy. Again, I can't speak to it. I wasn't there. This is just what I'm hearing, and maybe it's false information. Who knows, right? We won't know 100% of the story until one of the parties comes out and talks about it. But anyway, it never fails. Around All In or around any kind of big event, there's always something coming up with All Elite Wrestling. And no matter how much I want to give them credit, they have great matches, they have great wrestlers, they have a great production and great potential to run, for a lengthy time. I think I saw somewhere that Dynamite is approaching, the episode in which it will pass Monday Night Nitro for most episodes. Rampage, I believe, is one episode away from passing, WCW Thunder. So they do have the longevity on their side. They have a network that's willing to show their product. They have wrestlers who are able to maintain the interest and the support of the fans. But it's little stuff like this where it kind of gets tiresome, where it's like, come on, let's get it together, And if I'm sure WWE isn't perfect, we know that for sure. But in this new regime of WWE, if there's issues, we don't hear too much about it. They keep that under wraps. They keep that in house. AEW, for all intents, is entitled to their little squabbles or little feuds within one another because they're still a relatively young company, and that's okay. But what they need to do is find a way to shelter that in, and not let it get out to the dirt sheets. I love pro wrestling. I don't want to see anybody fail. I don't want to see anybody go out of business because I think when there's so much, opportunities, not only for fans to enjoy wrestling, but for the wrestlers themselves to find work and continue a career and really elevating their potential and their name value and basically their brand essentially. I think all wrestling is great. With the quick turnaround to All In, obviously the main event will be Bryan Danielson challenging Swerve Strickland for the AEW World Championship in what is a title versus career matchup. If Bryan Danielson loses, he's done. He's calling it a career, which I definitely could see that being the case, but I don't know. Again, Bryan Danielson is another guy I'm a huge fan of. His style, whether it was in Ring of Honor, whether it was in WWE or AEW, has always translated well. I hope he has a fantastic match against Swerve Strickland, which I have no reason to doubt, given the match that he had with Will Ospreay. Swerve Strickland can certainly have a fantastic match against the American Dragon. Um, if you ask me for my prediction, I can't give you one right now. Obviously, I'll release a prediction video later in the month, and with the episodes of Dynamite, we'll keep up with that and seeing how they decide to book them. But yeah, no, I mean, really interesting with AEW and what they're going with.